what is this thing powered by? Well, for once, the letters on the rear tail here actually mean something. The S550, it's actually powered by a 5.5 liter naturally aspirated V8, pushing about 382 horsepower and about 391 pound-feet of torque. So that is sensational thrust and something that weighs about a little under 4,300 pounds. This is not the 4MATIC, this is actually the rear-wheel drive model. So it's one of the more lightweight models, and 4,300 pounds with that type of power, it's very good. It's got sensational thrust, no issues there. Most importantly, there's no turbos or something stupid like that. Now, here's what the journalists of old were saying when this thing first came out. This is actually quieter and more comfortable than the Bentley Continental of the time. So that's something interesting. I just drove a Bentley Continental of the time. It was a 08 GTC, and a lot of the new big body cars are just as comfortable, if not even more so, and even more quieter than cars like the old Bentleys. So that's something to note. And the LS430, the beloved Lexus that you all seem to love, that was one of the most quietest, most comfortable cars out there. Nice progressive power. Really amazing thrust that will absolutely get away from you. This engine is so buttery smooth. You don't even feel this stuff operating. It's really quite sensational. I like the 7-speed automatic. It's kicking down extremely well. If you got the V12 versions of this car, or I believe just like the AMGs in general, they would have a 5-speed automatic to handle more of that torque and all that, but the 7-speed is definitely doing a very good job. This car is very quiet. This is quieter than the Lexus vehicles. There's a lot less wind noise coming from the Mercedes products, these S-Class vehicles, and yeah, this is driving a lot smoother. The steering of this is much smoother than the 2013 S550 I checked out, so that's a great thing I want to report. Brakes are doing a really tremendous job. You can really like whip this car like a pimp. There's a great sense of driver confidence with this car, similar to the newer LS460s actually. Lexus is actually one of the better driving full-size luxury sedans, and the LS430 was claimed to be one of the smoothest, one of the most quietest vehicles during the time period when it first came out. It was quieter and more comfy than the Bentleys and stuff like that. It was a very impressive car. This, they were saying that it actually outdid it by a little bit, and I would say that's pretty true. This is a tremendously refined experience. But I was actually mentioning the newer LS460. So the 2013 to 2017 LS460s, they actually had a nice planted, good driving dynamic. It's actually superior to the new S550/S560, I guess you could say. I haven't driven an S560, but whatever. I'm going to test out more of the handling on this vehicle in a bit. However, I do think this actually probably will drive or handle slightly better than the newer S550 I tested out, because that new car was actually tuned 100% for comfort and nothing else really, which was interesting. There's a delay, but it's not bad. This car, it just, the transmission will kick down, but there's just that delay, but there's no turbo lag like you get with the newer Mercedes S-Class products. And really, the new S-Class I tested out wasn't really the fastest feeling vehicle I've ever driven. It sounds impressive on paper, like 516 pounds-feet of torque and whatnot, but honestly, it hid all of the acceleration from you. I mean, the vehicle's chassis is just so neutral that when you brake, when you accelerate, you don't really feel those things. That's very true here, but I just like that naturally aspirated, the way it builds the power. Plus, there's obviously less complexity. Now, I did go over a pretty large bump right there, and I definitely did hear it. It was very loud. The newer S-Class vehicles would have definitely, well, let's just say it would have quieted that down a little bit. I'm really liking the smoothness of the steering here. They've done a great job refining this machine. Yeah, I'm really just whipping this thing like a pimp, dude. It has like a nice floating sensation and characteristic. It feels half its size to whip around. That's another great thing I like to see with these cars. It's not as quiet as the newer S-Class vehicles, but this is still very damn good, dude. This is about as good as it gets for most vehicles, even of brand new. There's a little bit more tire noise, stuff like that. This thing is riding on 18-inch wheels, but it doesn't look as stupid on this car, and it's running on 255 wide rubber on all four corners. Let's see here, kind of chuck it into this little... This car has a far better kind of pivoting sensation than the newer S550s. I don't know what that is, but something about this handling wise I really like it, and I like that Old Benz logo fitted up front there. Helps you kind of point the nose a little bit. Nice little touch there. I always like to see that. It's just the little prestige things that set this apart from the other, the Beamers and the Audis and stuff like that. They don't have anything sticking up at the nose. So, slight little jerking sensation when you just immediately get on the throttle. About to go over these railroad bumps. Soak those up just fine. I mean, railroad bumps aren't actually that bad in really any car. You've got some idiots up front here. I'm about to test out this handling. All right. Chuck this in here. Yeah, something about this, I don't know. I just like the way that this is set up a little bit more. This has a better handling dynamic, I feel like, than the newer S-Class. I mean, I get it. Like, what does that really mean in a vehicle of this size and stature? I mean, this is a test, people. I'm testing out the differences between the vehicles. You're going to be driving this, right? You're not just going to be looking at it and just parking it in the garage, correct? I mean, you want to know how it drives. I mean, this kind of handles more so of like a LS460 would, like a newer one. So I do like that dynamic. So that kind of means that the 07 to 2012 LS460, this is a better driving experience than that. This is handling itself extremely well. Now, it's nowhere near on the level of, BMW 7 Series or the, the Jags, or even Maserati, if you want to throw that in there. But this is doing a tremendous job. I got no issues with the way that this vehicle handles, drives, none of that. This is extremely comfortable, but nowhere near at the level of the newer S-Class. I would rather, this is kind of what I was saying, the comparison of the LS460 and the new 2015 S550 I did. And people just totally did not seem to understand or grasp that video. All the Lexus freaks just can't, they don't have like any real critical thinking abilities, but that's fine. I would rather sacrifice some of this driving dynamic for the supreme comfort and quietness that the newer Benz has to offer. So that's just me. That was kind of the driving experience I wanted, but in a full-size luxury car. But this is still really good. I do like driving like a pimp and really pushing these big body cars to its limit. There's like a strange satisfaction in doing that. I mean, no, this is not a sports car or anything like that, but it's still kind of fun to like whip around. So that's why I still like cars like the LS460s, but there's a serene experience to be said and to be had in the newer S-Class vehicles. It doesn't have that sensation of just, like it's floating about. It actually feels kind of pinned down and structured. It does not feel like it's all over the place. It does feel rather composed for what it is. And like I mentioned, the driving dynamics do reflect in that. Of course, it's got the most supreme suspension setups, double wishbones, multi-links in the rear, no issues there. This turn signal is a bit loud. However, it's not annoying like the BMWs where you gotta like cancel it yourself or whatever. Just that rather strange turn signal. It does not have that. But yes, this is, in summary, aged far better than the 2013 S550 I drove. And that's the other thing. A lot of these used cars, they are 100% dependent on the previous owner and the way that it was taking care of them. Now, that might sound like common sense to you, but that's, I just want to reiterate that to you people. Not all high mileage vehicles represent, the entirety of the lineup. So that S550, the 2015 that I drove, it aged flawlessly, and that's probably because the previous owner took perfect care of the car. Now, if I got into another version of that vehicle with even less mileage, there could be a chance that it probably aged worse. This is pretty good. I'm at an idle here. I do notice some slight vibrations coming through the seat here. No idea what that's all about. Put that in park. Kind of alleviated it a little bit, but it's not perfect, but there's no other vibrations coming through like the steering wheel or anything like that. And there's no real like creaks and rattles. It wasn't too ridiculous regarding that. Whereas the other car, the newer version of this, the 2013, it was like way more rattled out. So there you go. That says something right there. This has been far more meticulously taken care of. Now, again, it's not perfect, so let's get into the interior segment. Now, it's not too many issues. It's just like the buttons on the steering wheel here. They got a little sticky over time, I suppose. I don't know if you can like refinish that or something, but they still all work, so that's not an issue. There's the wood pieces in here. It's not like all cracked and like ready to like split in half or anything like that. Everything's good. I like the little clock here, this little square clock, nice little classy thing to look at. They moved the gear lever, of course, to like the column shifter thing to save some room for this generation. Got nice little storage spaces all around here, and the armrest and all that good stuff. You got double pane glass and one touch up and down windows for all 4 windows. You got the memory seats, heated and cooled seats. I like little seat adjustments here. This door is really freaking solid, and it's like a soft closing door as well, and that still works. Automatic headlights, parking brake, electronic. I don't believe this car has a backup camera. That's like the one strange thing I noticed. It has like parking sensors, but not like a backup camera, so that's kind of weird. The seats themselves, they have far superior to the other S-Classes I've tested out. The 2013, there's some wear on it, but it's not like torn up and ripped apart or anything like that, so that's pretty good. And of course, like in typical fashion, I mean, it's like sitting in a lazy boy with all these full-size luxury cars. It's not even remotely an issue. It's very comfortable in here. I just really like this wood and how solid it is. That's what I really like with this vehicle. Even the plastics in here, they have aged really well. Very solid in here. And I do like the Harman Kardon optional sound system that this vehicle has. That's very good. Works great, still sounds great as well. It's a little digital, speedometer thing going on here with the tag. Everything's easy, legible, easy to use. So I have no issues there, but a lot of the journalists of the time, they really like this infotainment far more than the BMW iDrives and stuff like that. I would have to agree with them. However, I don't think this is perfect or anything like that. This is kind of when infotainment started to become a thing more so. I mean, the previous generation cars had it too, but that was a joke. This is kind of when they started to care more, I suppose. And you can flip this thing over. You got a little dial pad here. Very pimp. I like to see that. You're going to put the headrest down, like the rear headrest, to give you some more visibility. I do like that feature. I like this physical little knob, this little rotary thing for the volume controls. I do like that. You got a rear sunshade in the rear. You have this center armrest that people always love to play with, this little double hinge thing going on. However, you shut that, you open this big boy up, you got a lot more space in there, so a little bit more usable than you would think. And the glove box is a good size. You don't have a panoramic sunroof, it's just a regular sunroof in here, and I have no issues with that whatsoever. So I do appreciate this interior space. Again, it's all kind of dependent on how the previous owners kind of took care of the stuff. So I'm pretty happy to say that this is aged extremely well for what it is, for the price, for the mileage, for all that good stuff. So, well, there you go. I'm glad to see these cars have been holding up, because I do like this generation of S-Class. It's pretty swaggy. So there is that. Now, rear space, of course, it's tremendous. Now, this car is not loaded to the brim with every option you can get, but it's got the stuff that you need, basically. I mean, it's got the heated and cooled seats for the front. That's pretty much all I care about. And you do have climate control back there, so you got some vents to play with, and a plethora of space. Don't even worry about it. It's a big body car. So there is that. Got a little vanity mirror up there. And the trunk, of course, tremendous, huge. And you have some storage underneath when you kind of lift up the covers there. So trunk space is great. Fit pretty much everything you need back there. That's not even remotely an issue. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this S550, it's a good one to look into with options. I think a lot of people like this particular generation, and also the 07 to 2012 LS460s, because of the price point and kind of the timeless look that it has to offer and bring to the table. And I would actually agree with you guys. I like both cars. I mean, you can go ahead, you can watch my LS460 versus my S550 review. I mean, as long as you're not some Lexus freak and you are objective and you can see what I'm talking about there, you can see my spiel for 24 minutes where I just say they're all great cars. All the flagship luxury cars are great. They're satisfactory to own, to drive on an everyday basis. Just please get a warranty. That's my biggest advice to you guys. So there it is. That's my advice. Enjoy it. There's not too many issues I found other than this slight little vibration I'm feeling through the seat. You can tell me if that's normal or not. Yeah, otherwise everything else is smooth. It's powerful. It's transmission reacts pretty good. There's some delay, but that's to be expected. It's not really a big issue for me. It's got effortless thrust, fun to drive, handles better than you would expect. So with that, thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.